I want to actually tell you what's the difference between burnout and being lazy so that all of you are clear, okay? Because there's very few people that are lazy, but there's a lot of people that get burnt out. So here's what it looks like. Here's what burnout is. Burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion, often caused by prolonged stress or overwork. Does that make sense? So, people experiencing burnout may still want, this is the key here, to be productive and engaged, but find it extremely difficult due to their depleted energy and motivation. Does that make sense? Okay. Burnout often involves physical and psychological symptoms such as fatigue, irritability, and a sense of helplessness. Any of you ever felt that way? Yeah. Okay. There's a good chance you were burnt out. The biggest area here that you want to pay attention to is prolonged stress and the emotional and mental exhaustion. There's a gentleman named Mr. Hopkins who's one of the greatest sales trainers, and he's one of the originals. Like, he was training people years and years ago, okay? And he made an analogy that really stuck out to me when he came to burnout. He used to work in construction and then got into real estate. And he shared a story. He said, look, when I was in construction, I would work my butt off for 9-10 hours, just heavy lifting, doing all of this. Then I would come home, I would go to the gym, then I would go clubbing and party, and I felt great all week. But he's like, I came in sales, after 3 hours, I'm destroyed. I get home after 5 hours of work and I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to go to my pillow and cry. And here's what he explained. He said when you do physical work like construction, your mind is not at work. All you're doing is just using you're not thinking, oh, I wonder if this guy's gonna close. Oh, I wonder if this guy's gonna message me back. None of that thought is happening. You're just doing physical work over and over again. But when you get into sales or leadership or business, you're constantly in conflict and tension with other people. Now, you can learn to develop skill sets like having no expectations, like having a mindset of abundance, no outcome in mind. This will all help that. But in the beginning, you don't know these things. So every time someone doesn't reply to you, what do? Why haven't they replied? Oh my God, are they gonna be my friend? Do I have friends now? I have no friends. I have no more friends. That process goes 3 hours. You're laughing, but it's true, okay? You have a meeting. 2 hours before the meeting, oh my God, I can't wait for them to show up. I have a meeting. Then they don't show up. Depression. Oh, I can't believe they didn't show up. Everything in my life was building up to this corporate presentation. Now I only knew one person in Canada. This was the last person that I know. Isn't that stressful? Isn't that overwhelming? Okay, I'm kind of exaggerating, but I'm kind of not. Because you all know to a certain point I'm right. Yes or no? Yes. Okay, so this is why burnout happens a lot more in business than it does in things like construction or carpentry. In those things, you break your back, which is terrible, but you don't break your mind. In this thing, you break your mind sometimes, but it's good. It repairs and it becomes a lot better. Does that make sense? Now, here's the thing. Some people are lazy, some people are burnt out. And this is the common question that always gets asked. Nima, am I just lazy or am I burnt out? Here's the answer here. Laziness refers to a lack of willingness or motivation to engage in activities or tasks, often without clear reason or external stressor, okay? Laziness typically involves a conscious choice to avoid effort, even when one has the capacity to complete tasks. So what is the main difference? In burnout, you want to do more, but you just can't get yourself to do it. Does that make sense? In laziness, you don't even want to do it. You have no desire to do it. I remember called me one time and he's like, man, I just can't invite people in person anymore, okay? He's like, I just can't invite people in person anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, like, I don't know what it is. Like, he was just like, and I'm like, can I ask you a question? How many days have you taken off the last month? He's like, I've been working 7 days a week. I'm like, cancel all your meetings, go home, relax. Everything's gonna be okay. Take 2 days off. What did he do? You took 2 days off and then everything went okay, right? Okay. Took 2 days off, came back, was invited, yeah. But he wanted to take action, right? But he just couldn't bring himself to do it. That's burnout. Burnout is when you want to do it, but you just don't have it in you to do it. Laziness is when you don't even want to do it. So if you're ever wondering, am I just being lazy or burnt out? That's the main differentiator. Do you really want to do it bad enough, but you just can't get yourself to do it? Or you don't want to do it at all? Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. And one more explanation, just so this completely hits home for you. In summary, burnout is a state of extreme exhaustion and disengagement, typically caused by excessive stress, while laziness is a lack of motivation or willingness to engage in activities without an underlying stressor. It's important to differentiate between the two and address them accordingly, as the cause and strategies for dealing with them can be quite different. Does that make sense? If you have a heart problem and your doctor diagnoses it as diabetes, you're in trouble. And if you have diabetes and your doctor diagnoses it as heart problems, you're also in trouble. It's very important to diagnose the right problem so you can have the right solutions. Because sometimes you think you're burnt out and you do some solutions that don't help the problem. And sometimes you think you're lazy and you do some solutions that don't help. So it's important to identify it. My recommendation is, if you're ever unsure, talk to your mentor about it. They've been through it, I'm sure, and they can help you go through it as well. Hope you enjoyed that video. This was part 1 of a 2-part series. In part 2, we're gonna talk about how you can overcome burnout if you're already burnt out, and how you can avoid being burnt out in the future. If you click right here, you can watch that video right now. And please make sure to remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and hit the bell button so you're notified every time we have a video. Thank you for being here.